Hello MMA community and YouTubers, this is your boy Joe Dog coming at you again with a video about next week's fight night for UFC 182 Makhachav versus Dos Santos. RDS is going back now down to 155, where I don't think he should really be at. I did think I liked him better at 170 when he was a welterweight. I mean, he didn't have the most success there, but now that he's getting up in age and he's in his late 30s now, it's not going to be easy for him to do the weight cuts. Although he did have more success in his earlier career a long time ago in that weight class. I don't see him having better success in the long run and in the future in that weight division. But I guess the guys will be smaller, shorter, and it would sound on paper like he should have the better, easier matches in that division. But in my opinion, he'd be better off going back to welterweight. But anyways, what I want to do this week differently than last previous weeks is especially because a lot of us have ADD and we have attention disorder problems, and we don't maybe have our Adderalls handy all the time when I'm bringing out these videos to keep paying attention to. This card is a full-length card right now. Nobody's dropped off because of coronavirus or weight issues or injuries, so it's a full stack card, and I don't have, just like you guys don't have, I'm sure, hours at a time to dedicate to one video. So I'm going to break it up into two halves. We're going to go with no specific order, just half of the fights today, and I'll do the other halves tomorrow, so you guys can get your picks in and your bet slips in early in time before the line movement gets out of control and we start losing money. All right, let's start off with one of the fights I really was looking forward to on this card is Daniel Rodriguez and Brian Barberena. This is going to be an interesting matchup, man. I can see this being like a fight of the night, or a performance of the night, or even like a knockout of the night, something like a performance of the night for sure, because these guys are both people who come to slug it out. Then nobody's going to try to hump each other's legs or take it to the ground and fall asleep on the other guy to get some control. This is going to be a classic burner. They're going to be coming there to scrap. And you guys, if you know anything about Barbera, he loves to come forward with his hands down to entice the opponent to open up. He's the kind who, like, he wants you to hit him so he can hit you. He likes to trade in the pockets, and just it becomes a bloodbath in some of his fights. And he takes the hits very well. He's got a good chin. He's 30. So as you can see in Rodriguez's last fight, he almost got knocked out, and he ended up in the same exact round where he almost got finished, ends up finishing his opponent, who's a very game opponent. So Daniel Rodriguez is coming on like I think he's on like I know his record is 13-1. He's coming off only one loss, which was a split decision. A lot of people would argue he even won it. One of the judges gave it to him, so you could say he's even undefeated in a sense. And it was a game opponent, by the way. So his opponent was at the time 11-3, I believe, and had some pretty decent competition. He was a good fighter as well. And that was some years back. And since that loss, he's been on a 9-fight win streak. He trains out of 10th Planet Gym. Some good formidable people came out of there, such as Tony Ferguson, as you guys know. So he trains with some good high-level athletes over there and good trainers. So 9-fight win streak. 7 of his wins are by knockout. Total knockouts are TKOs, and then 4 of them by submission. So he's well-rounded. He's got a little bit of a threat on the feet and the ground. He can do it, and he's definitely proven himself to have a chin as well. So he's got 2 by unanimous decision. So anytime we went to the scorecards, there were no chance of, well, besides his wins, there was no chance of him being robbed because there were decisions by unanimous. So let's see what else we could say. He's got also notable wins against some legends of the game, maybe future Hall of Famers, I would even say. Tim Means, and this was back when Tim was not so chinny, and right now he's kind of on a decline, but at the time he was not too bad, I don't think, because he's just recently kind of taken the fall. Dwight Grant, he knocked out Dwight Grant in only 2 minutes into the first round, as we just mentioned about that fight. He did battle through some adversity as well and proved himself to have something that we weren't sure if he could get through, having a chin. What else did he do so we can discuss? So he's coming off some momentum, good momentum. He's going to be confident coming into this fight. He's coming off some nice wins and a nice win streak. So that was my pick, by the way. I do have Daniel Rodriguez possibly taking late round, maybe a late second, early third round knockout, because the style of Barberena will play right into how Rodriguez is. He's very athletic. He knows how to be evasive at times, and unlike Barberena, who has to take a hit to give a hit, Rodriguez knows how to not to absorb as much punishment. So whether it goes to the decisions or if it's going to go to somebody having to get stopped and put away, either way, I got Daniel Rodriguez being the favorite in this fight. So we're going with that one for the first fight. The second fight I wanted to touch on, this is somebody I really want you guys to pay attention to. He's somebody I'm high on. I'm very impressed by him. His Dana White Contender Series fight was very impressive, how he ground and pounded and put somebody away who was a very formidable opponent in the Dana White Contender Series. He was somebody who people did see possibly even winning, but so he did put that guy away pretty nicely and impressively. Tony Gravely, I got Tony Gravely is let's see, what do we know about this guy? I think he's got a 19-6 record. I do remember one of the things I remembered in one of his most recent wins. Also, he's got a 30 in his 19 wins. I think let's see how many are by knockout. One of his recent knockouts was so impressive. The guy was it was in the first 30 seconds of the first round. He was put into an arm bar. The guy was trying to submit him in an arm bar, and with one arm he picked him up and slammed him to the canvas, knocked this guy cold out in 30 seconds of the first round. Formidable opponent as well. So this guy's got freakish strength. With one arm, picks a guy up during being attempted to be submitted, was able to knock him out by slamming him to the ground. That's the type of power this guy possesses. Excellent wrestler, very sturdy, very, very durable, has good cardio, good physique. This is somebody you guys got to watch out for. He's going to be a threat. His only loss recently in the he was like on a real good long win streak. It was against a guy who's like 17-2 or 19-2. Only 2 losses were back-to-back against killers of the division. The guys who are the cream of the crop. Aljamain Sterling, he's the one fighting Peter Yan for the belt coming up. So that guy put away Cody Stamann in the 30 seconds of the first round. Sanhagen, who just beat Marlon Moraes. So that guy, there's no shame in losing to Sterling. Before that, his first loss and only loss before Sterling was against Pedro Munoz, who we've seen, and in my opinion, he got robbed at a decision against Frankie Edgar. And if you can go 5 rounds with Frankie Edgar, and people say that even if you only lost by a split decision, the judge, that means gave it to you. And I think the judges off the record, like the other people who scored it, I forgot what they call them, like the other judges, there's like that scored that were not the 3 judges, like other professional judges, they all gave, it was like 29 people judged rated the fight to go for Munoz, and like 2 or 3 people gave the decision to, so everybody, all the people outside the 3 judges that night that matter the most, for whatever reason, decided to give it to, and I actually do know what reason, but we don't want to get into that, so I don't want to get sidetracked, but we can talk about that another day in private, or if you're on my Patreon, it'd be a nice discussion for the team to discuss. I do have a lot to say about that night and about what the reasons were that they gave it to Frankie Edgar, some inside secrets. Anyways, back on track. So we got Daniel Rodriguez for the first fight today. I'm going with Tony Gravely to defeat his opponent on the second fight we're discussing today. What else? The other fight I'll talk about is the Marquez fight. I definitely can see Marquez having no problems getting the defeat here. I would love to see. I got to look at the odds because this is a parlay piece in my opinion. So far all these are, besides the Daniel Rodriguez fight, maybe I may consider not putting in too many parlays, but the Tony Gravely fight is a parlay piece. The Marquez fight is a parlay piece. Marquez is going against a Sabarebek, it's a difficult name, Sabarebek Safarov. The guy's got like 4 fights in the UFC and has only got 1 win, and that 1 win was against somebody who has no wins in the UFC. So that hasn't gone against any good competition, and the 3 losses out of the 4 fights have all been by like submission or knockout. He's been put away on all of those fights. He didn't lose by decision. He got taken out. So even more reason why I should fade this guy in this fight, especially when you're fighting against a guy who's got people under his belt like Phil Hawes. We see how impressive Phil Hawes looked on his last victory. I think he won like the first minute of the first round, early TKO. The guy's a beast. Looks like the Hulk. The guy is very impressive. He beat Phil Hawes. He's beat Darren Stewart. He put away Darren Stewart. Did we see how Darren Stewart almost got a split decision win against Kevin Holland? How impressive he looked against Holland, who's a world beater. So this guy got wins over guys like that and other people as well. So that's a guy who I'm definitely parlaying against, a guy especially of this type of caliber. So another fight I want to get into, I would say Abdul Al-Hassan. Very excited about this matchup. This guy brings it every time. He's got 10 wins, all 10 wins by knockout in like the first round. So he doesn't have the best cardio, and I see why he's trying to go for broke every time. His cardio is not the greatest, but he pulls through, man. 10 wins and all 10 by almost first round knockout, but all of them by knockout, and especially finding a guy like his opponent who falls into like his type of fighting style. Like he's not going to be afraid to trade with this guy. He's not going to be on trying to evade the striking with. So I can see this being an early night. But if it does go into the later rounds, second and third, this is somebody you might want to hedge off of and do some live betting on. So we'll talk about that. We'll look into it more later on and discuss the live betting, prop bets stuff. That's going to come later on in the week. We'll discuss to make sure that if you guys ever notice, like if you're in my Patreon, even on the worst prediction weeks, we'll never lose money because we take advantage of live bets, prop bets. We find ways to always hedge off if we have to, and even make a hedge bet that'll allow us to be able to cash in on both. So I find ways to hedge on a fight that'll make it possible for me to even win both of them instead of having to hedge, where most people, when they hedge, they have to end up losing one of the bets. I find a way to hedge off by cashing in on possibly both of the bets. Like it'll be, instead of going on one fighter, if I notice something, I'll just bet the over on the second bet. So in case that fighter wins and it goes over, we can cash in on both tickets. So as far as betting goes and predictions, I'm going to take the title right now until somebody can prove me wrong. And I put a challenge out to anybody. You guys want to go one-on-one with me about making predictions about who's going to win in which rounds and which methods, which style. I challenge anybody to face me off on predicting the rounds and the methods and who's going to win. And if anybody can beat me for any week, I'll give you the crown and wear a t-shirt saying that you're number one, if even. That's how confident I am in myself being the best in the game right now. As you can see in my slips, I'm going to show you my withdrawal. I always post even not just my betting slips before my fights, I also post my deposit amount and withdrawal amount for the day from my casino sites. So you see how much more profit I made than what I deposited in my total deposits for the week. Anyways, back on track. The other parlay piece I wanted to discuss. Now, we already talked about Judo Thunder Abdul. We talked about Marquez. We talked about Tony Gravely. We talked about Daniel Rodriguez. We're almost done with half the fights. I'll give you one more fight. We'll talk about the main event. If you guys are interested in any fight, I would imagine it would be the main event. So I'll give you guys that today to talk about as well. Islam Makhachav versus Raphael dos Santos. I'm going with Islam. He trains out of a better team. He's younger. He's hungrier. He's got an impressive resume. He's like a Khabib, man. And he trains with Khabib. He's trained by the same people that trained Khabib. He trained with Khabib's father. Rest in peace, the late Abdulrahmanov. I'm not even gonna try that. But he's got his other training camp. He trains with some of the best of the best. Daniel Cormier, Luke Rockhold, Cain Velasquez. These are the guys who he's grown up fighting with and wrestling with and sparring with. So a guy with that level, and Khabib on top of those other legends and Hall of Famers he's trained with. This guy is very, very technical, very patient, very skilled, very sturdy. Only got one loss in like a 19-fight record. So he's got an impressive streak right now. What else can we say about him, man? He's very calculated. He doesn't take risks. He absorbs less than one strike per minute. Who else do you guys can pull up in the UFC that has like 3 or 4 strikes per minute but absorbs less than one strike per minute? And he's not new. He's got plenty of fights under his belt. So for all those fights, he has not absorbed even one strike per minute. Who's going to beat this guy in the decision cards? Who's going to put him away? not a 35-year-old Dos Santos, and that's why he's the biggest favorite of the night. Another safe parlay piece. If you put him in a good parlay ticket with another few safe bets, you'll probably get close to plus money on that one, even money on that. So it's not too big of an expensive ticket. If you lock it in early enough in the week, we can still make some money off of this safe bet. Thank you guys for your time. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. I issued a challenge to any of you guys out there who are listening, who have podcasts and do predictions. I take anybody on. Let's go.